The gates swing open, and inside silence speaks louder than any trophy. A tree-lined corridor leads to a property where time and success seem to have made a pact. Marble, glass, wood, and light. Everything arranged with the precision of someone who never accepted defeat. But this isn't just a visit to a spectacular house. It's a map of the mind that redefined the impossible. Because what you're about to see today isn't just walls, cars, or numbers. It's the story of how a boy who grew up surrounded by challenges turned pressure into performance, and performance into a personal empire. Today, you step into the private universe of Michael Jordan, the spaces that reveal his standard of excellence, the collection that embodies power and history, the business decisions that transformed victories into wealth and brand, and the quiet routine that explains why he remains an archetype, not just a former player. Stay with me until the very end, because in the final act I'll show you the invisible principle that sustains this entire life, and one you can apply tomorrow morning. Ready? Then take a deep breath. Welcome to the house that time respects. If you enjoy deep dives like this into life, mind, and empire, hit that like button so you won't miss when we open the next door. Before the glowing walls and the hallways that echo victories, there was silence. And in that silence, there was a list of cuts. A teenager named Michael Jeffrey Jordan kept hearing the word that so many treat as a sentence. No, not tall enough for varsity, not strong enough to compete with the veterans, not ready for the spotlight. But for him, each no didn't close a door, it lit a switch. Jordan didn't grow up with cutting-edge labs or full-time trainers at his disposal. He grew up in what we might call ordinary reality. A hard-working family, school routines, household chores, and a makeshift court where dust mixed with sweat. It was there, in that seemingly ordinary setting, that he started to notice details others ignored. Where most saw just a ball and a hoop, he saw mechanics of movement. The angle of the foot, the perfect arc of the ball, the pressure of the index finger on release. What others dismissed as obsession, he called necessity. Every cut, every failure was logged in his mind and turned into a personal training program. Didn't make varsity, he pushed harder in conditioning, missed layups under pressure, extra hours repeating the move, ran out of breath too early, added miles before and after school. It was a simple, almost primitive process, but it hid a powerful pattern. Rejection organized the method. It wasn't victory that taught him. It was the absence of it that forced the adjustments. Jordan understood early what many take a lifetime to realize. Defeat is the instruction manual for greatness. That's the first loop you need to engrave in your memory. Rejection organized the method. When someone tells you you're not ready, not capable, you can carry that as a weight, or you can convert it into a daily training script. Jordan chose the second option. Now let me bring you closer. What was the no that organized you inside? Maybe it was a teacher who doubted you, a job interview that slipped away, a relationship that ended and forced you to rebuild. Write it down in the comments. This exercise will make sense once you see how Jordan transformed each denial into fuel, from the school locker room to the world stage, from a plain uniform to a custom suit, from repeated no's to a signature worth billions. And it all began in that instant. An ordinary teenager who trained as if every single day were a championship final. From lonely practices in near-empty gyms, Michael Jordan stepped into something bigger than himself, the spotlight. And under that light, the true formula began to emerge. When the nation started calling him the chosen one, he didn't just wear a uniform. He carried a weight stitched into his shoulders. Every game was an exam, every shot a verdict, every loss fuel for critics waiting to see him fall. But here's the key. For Jordan, pressure wasn't an enemy. It was a mirror, revealing what had been rehearsed with no audience. Where others trembled, he tapped into a repertoire already drilled thousands of times. Jordan didn't train to hit the shot once. He trained until missing was nearly impossible. If his hand slipped, he repeated until muscle memory solved it. If his jump lacked height, more strength training. If stamina failed in the fourth quarter, he extended workouts to mimic exhaustion. It was as if he were writing an invisible manual. Nothing is left to chance. That manual became a style of play. Explosion plus technique. Instinct plus calculation. Charisma plus discipline. His rise wasn't a smooth arc of natural talent. There were milestones that forged the legend. University of North Carolina, 1982, the game-winning shot against Georgetown. Not just a point, but a baptism under pressure. NBA draft, chosen by the Chicago Bulls, a team dim at the time, but soon carrying the DNA of an obsessed competitor. Early seasons, personal records mixed with team setbacks, learning that individual brilliance must evolve into collective leadership. Each stage brought brighter lights and sharper critics, and every criticism was filed away, turned into more fuel. Remember the loop I asked you to hold? Rejection organized the method. Now comes the second. Pressure consolidated the performance. And this principle wasn't confined to the court. It seeped into the walls, the business moves, the private spaces he built for himself. And you, what do you do when pressure rises? Do you freeze, retreat, or access what you've trained in the shadows? Tell me in the comments. I want to know how you respond when the spotlight finds you. From packed gyms to global arenas, Jordan proved pressure wasn't the enemy, but the ally. And when the championship finally arrived, something was clear. This was never just about basketball. It was about forging a mindset, one powerful enough to carry over into every corner of life. Now, it's time to open the doors to what that mindset built. A physical space that is less a residence and more a manifesto. The gates open, and for the first time, we don't just see a luxury property. We see a manifesto built in stone and mortar. Every wall, every line of design whispers the same message Jordan carried for decades: discipline, intention, and contained power. The moment we cross the main door, we're welcomed by an imposing foyer. The ceiling rises as if it has no end, the walls bathed in natural light streaming through strategically placed windows. Here, there is no pointless excess. Every detail is calculated. The polished marble that reflects each step, the artwork that blends modern style with sports history, the geometry of lines that don't distract but focus. It feels like stepping into a pre-game locker room, silent, tense, ready to announce that something important is about to happen. We move into the living room, spacious yet not cold. The furniture is chosen not to flaunt, but to embrace. Low, comfortable sofas, all oriented toward the glass windows that frame the horizon like a living canvas. It's impossible not to imagine Jordan here, receiving executives, athletes, or close friends. This isn't a room made for passing time. It's a room built for deciding destinies. And here the viewer starts to sense, this isn't just a house. It's an expanded office, a life-sized chessboard. To the left, the kitchen reveals another layer. Impeccable stone countertops, top-of-the-line appliances, clean lines. But the real impression isn't in the shine of the steel. It's in the sense of pure functionality. This isn't just about preparing meals. It's about ritual, nutrition, recovery, caring for the body. The very same principles Jordan applied in training, now woven into daily life. A few steps up, and we reach the office. Dark wood, focused lighting, and a massive desk dominating the center. Here, contracts are read, decisions are made, projects take shape. On the wall, shelves display books on strategy, a few old photos, discrete trophies, reminders that the past feeds but doesn't define the next move. It's the kind of space that translates a simple truth. The game never ended. It just changed arenas. As we walk through the corridors, one principle becomes clear. This house was designed not to waste mental energy. The spaces flow into one another without visual barriers. Each room seems to prepare you for the next. This architecture reveals something greater. Jordan's mind does not accept noise. Not on the court, not in life, not at home. Remember the second loop we uncovered? Pressure consolidated the performance. Look at how it shows up here. The entire space consolidates focus and calm, as if the house itself were an extension of the mind of a competitor who refuses to be distracted. Hold on to that thought, because soon I'll show you the most unexpected part, a space designed not to win, but to rest. And that explains how you can keep winning for so long. And now, I want to ask you, if you had to choose one of these spaces, the foyer, the living room, the kitchen, or the office, which would be the most important for your life today? Drop it in the comments, because I want to understand which part of this mindset resonates most with you. From the foyer that announces to the living room that decides, through the kitchen of routine and the office of strategies, every corner of this house is a reminder. Greatness doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. And if the walls speak in silence, the garage speaks in roars. It's time to step into the place where power takes shape on wheels. If the main living room is about decisions, the garage is about movement and presence. Here it's not just cars. It's chapters of a story told on wheels. The lights flicker on, and the space reveals itself. Steel lines, bold colors, chrome reflecting every step. It feels like walking into a living art gallery, but instead of canvases, machines. Each car, a functional sculpture. Some shine through design, others through the unmistakable roar that announces itself before they even move. All of them carry symbolic weight, victory, status, legacy. Jordan never collected out of whim. His selection follows patterns that reveal mindset. Speed and adrenaline, Italian supercars built to steal breaths and challenge limits. Reminders that life may be a race, but sometimes your heart needs to accelerate. Elegance and presence, German luxury sedans, designed not to shout, but to whisper power. When they arrive, there's no need to explain who's inside. The car speaks for itself. Timeless classics, preserved models, cared for almost like museum pieces. Proof that some things don't age. Style, excellence, flawless design. Exclusive and customized, one-of-a-kind vehicles, tailored versions that exist only because someone decided they should. The translation of, I don't follow the standard, I set it. And notice, this layout isn't random. The cars seem to talk to each other. The classic beside the modern, the fast beside the majestic, the discreet beside the extravagant. It's as if each row tells a story of contrasts, a reminder of where he came from, a display of how far he's gone, and a hint of where he could still go. Amidst million-dollar machines, one detail stands out. A car that to many would look ordinary. No wild curves, no deafening roar, a simpler model, but with personal history. This is the pattern interrupt that captures attention. It's not about price, it's about memory. This vehicle symbolizes a precise point in the journey, maybe a personal victory, maybe a bond with someone important. That's when we understand the collection isn't about showing off. It's about preserving narratives in the form of engines. Keep that thought, because if the cars show how Jordan moves, there's another space in this house that reveals how he endures. And soon we'll step into it, a space that explains the longevity of a body that defied time. And now, I want to hear from you. If you could choose one car for your garage today, which would it be? Drop it in the comments, because each answer reveals what you value most: speed, presence, tradition, or exclusivity. From the garage, where every engine holds a memory, we move to the next chapter, the numbers and the decisions that made this lifestyle possible. Because having a collection like this isn't just about passion, it's about financial strategy and long-term vision. The mansion impresses, The garage excites, but deep down, everyone wonders the same thing. How do you sustain an empire like this? The answer fits into one word: numbers. Jordan's contracts broke through figures that, at the time, seemed unreal. Multi-millions per season. Sponsorship deals big enough to support entire franchises. But here's the first essential detail. He never saw salary as destiny. For him, salary was a platform, a stepping stone, not the summit. Early in his career, Jordan signed with a brand that would turn him into something bigger than an athlete: Nike. What looked like just another contract became the birth of a line that grew like a living organism: Air Jordan. Instead of being just a spokesperson, he became the brand itself. The product stopped being the sponsor's and became his with the sponsor. That shift didn't just change his bank account, it changed the entire industry. Today, decades after leaving the court, the Air Jordan line still generates billions annually, proof that a well-structured contract can outlast time, and even the athlete himself. Jordan understood early that relying on one source of income was risk. So, he diversified. Sports franchises, investing in teams, transforming fan into owner. Personal brands, clothing, accessories, lifestyle. Strategic investments, beverages, technology, media. Real estate. Every home, beyond a refuge, also a growing asset. This vision explains a crucial truth. It's not money that creates vision. It's vision that directs money. Here's another loop to keep. It wasn't salary that made Jordan a billionaire. It was the mindset of turning contracts into assets. Remember that line, because soon I'll show you how this same pattern shows up in a place few expect: the space of the body. Jordan doesn't collect numbers the way others collect trophies. For him, numbers are just side effects of consistency. Consistency in training, titles. Consistency in image, lasting brand. Consistency in choices, stable empire. That's why, even after retirement, the name Michael Jordan remains one of the most profitable in global sports. Now let me ask you to reflect. If tomorrow your name became a brand, what product or experience would it deliver without needing explanation? Write it in the comments. That reflection might just change how you see what you're building. From the numbers to the boardrooms, the logic remains the same: pressure, strategy, flawless execution. And if the court was the first stage, the negotiation table became the second. It's time to see how the competitor, who never accepted losing, brought the same mindset into business and keeps on winning. The final buzzer sounded, the trophies were raised, but Michael Jordan never truly left the court. He simply traded the hardwood for the boardroom. At the negotiation table, the logic is the same as an NBA Finals. There's an opponent, maybe a competitor, an entire market, or even time itself. There's a scoreboard, market share, valuation, revenue, cultural influence. There's a clock, contract deadlines, windows of opportunity, the timing of expansion. The difference: no roaring crowd. The silence weighs heavier. And in that silence, Jordan's competitive mind remains relentless. Metrics, memory, and moment. That's the tripod guiding his decisions off the court. Metrics. Nothing is decided in the dark. Reports, projections, numbers, all examined with the same meticulous eye he once used to study game stats. Memory. Every past mistake filed away, not to blame, but to adjust. Just as he replayed games to correct failures, he reviews negotiations to evolve. Moment, perhaps the most crucial. Jordan knows talent and capital mean nothing without timing. On the court, it was the last-second shot. In business, it's the investment made just before everyone else. Jordan never wanted to stay comfortable. He wanted to keep competing. But now, victory isn't a championship. It's a business legacy that spans generations. Owning sports franchises, expanding his brand beyond basketball, investing in industries that don't depend on his presence but on the strength of his image. The competitor never retired. He just switched boards. And here's something few expect. The same obsession with repetition that marked his practices is reflected in the way he reads contracts. Pages reviewed down to the smallest detail, clauses dissected line by line. Nothing escapes his eye. It's as if every negotiation were a secret practice, unseen by the public, but ensuring consistency and results. Hold on to this thought. The competitive mind never retires. It just changes arenas. Because soon, we'll enter a space in the house that embodies exactly that. A private gym where body and discipline remain the foundation of everything. And now I want to ask you, if you could apply your competitive mindset today to a different area of your life, where would it be? Business, health, relationships? Drop it in the comments, because that answer might reveal the next game you need to win. From the negotiation table, we return inside the house. The sound changes. No longer the clicking of pens, but the echo of weights, the rhythm of breathing, the impact of hands on equipment. Because the next room is the one that guarantees longevity. The space of the body, where the physical performance of someone who defied time is sustained. We open a side door and step into what many would call a private gym. But don't be mistaken, this isn't just a place to work out. It's the workshop where the machine that supports everything else is preserved. The space is wide, organized, designed as a true performance center. Mobility zone, mats, resistance bands, stability balls. The foundation, what ensures longevity in the joints. Strength area, free weights, Olympic bars, sturdy racks. No excess, just what's needed to keep the body at an athlete's standard. Smart cardio, treadmills, bikes, equipment simulating terrain. The detail, intensity adjusts to recreate the exhaustion of a decisive fourth quarter. Recovery technology, cryotherapy, saunas, steam rooms. Every resource planned to repair, rebuild, and prepare for the next day. This space doesn't scream luxury, it screams discipline. Jordan always believed victory begins before the game does. Here, that belief is tangible. Mornings, warm-ups, stretches, mobility work, strength training, controlled reps, compound movements, measured explosiveness, high-intensity cardio, not to impress others, but to keep the mind familiar with discomfort. Recovery, every session ending with relaxation protocols, breathing and mental focus. It's as if every workout whispered a daily reminder, the body is the vehicle, but the mind is the driver. Here lies a truth many ignore. You can't race with a sports car mindset while maintaining yourself like a family sedan. The body is the platform. The mind is the software. The game is the ecosystem. If the platform fails, nothing else carries forward. And that's why, even decades after his peak, Jordan still carries vigor, posture, and presence. Because this space isn't about muscles, it's about daily consistency. Hold on to this phrase. Longevity is discipline applied in silence. And it's precisely the silence of this room that explains the continuity of a legend. But wait, we're not done. Because if the body sustains, the circle of trust protects. And that's our next step. Now let me ask you, what part of your daily routine is non-negotiable? That one thing that, if you don't do it, the day doesn't feel right. Write it in the comments, because that's exactly what builds consistency. We leave the gym, still hearing the metallic echo of weights, and enter another space, not physical, but human. Because it's not enough to have body, mind, and wealth. You need people beside you to speak truth. This is what Jordan calls his short circle, the filter that protects his decisions and his energy. Every legend needs an invisible wall, and for Michael Jordan, that wall is called the short circle. Not made of stone, but of people. Not only guarding his image, but his time, his focus, his decisions. Jordan never opened doors to just anyone. His circle has always been tight, built of longtime friends, those who were there before the fame, when there were no cameras, trusted partners, who share vision and aren't afraid to say no. Strategic advisors, chosen not for flattery, but for their ability to see beyond. This small group works as an energy filter. What reaches him has already passed through layers of analysis, avoiding wasted time and noise. The short circle isn't there to applaud, it's there to call out misalignment. It's the friend who looks at a contract and says, "This doesn't make sense." The advisor who cuts through with, "It looks good, but it's not viable." The one who reminds him, legacy can't be sold for short-term applause. For Jordan, this is gold, because a champion can win a game alone, but an empire only stands when there are people keeping you grounded. Think of the circle as an economy: fewer voices, more clarity, less flattery, more real data, fewer distractions, more long-term coherence. This model protects not only business, but personal life. Ensures that behind the myth, the man still has space to be human. Hold on to this phrase: the short circle is the shield of vision. Because soon we'll step out of this intimate environment into another, even more surprising, the contrast between the myth and the ordinary man. And now I want to ask you, who makes up your short circle? That person who refuses to let you fool yourself, who speaks truth even when it hurts. Write it in the comments, because maybe it's time to value more the ones who hold the mirror in your life. From the private conversations, we step into an unexpected space, a room where luxury gives way to simplicity, where the myth yields to the man. Because every legend deep down is still someone who needs silence, family, and small rituals to remain whole. So far you've seen mansions, cars, contracts, and a mind that never rests. But there is a side of Michael Jordan that's rarely explored. The side that doesn't wear a uniform, doesn't sign million-dollar checks, and doesn't need an audience. The man behind the myth. Life beyond the spotlight. When the arena lights go out and the hallways fall silent, Jordan retreats into a life far simpler than the public imagines. Family dinners, where what matters isn't an expensive dish, but the presence of children and grandchildren. Everyday conversations not about business, but about old stories, inside jokes, memories of childhood. Chosen silences, where he allows himself to simply exist without proving anything to anyone. This is the side you won't see on magazine covers. The side that keeps the legend in balance. Every great man carries small rituals that anchor his humanity. For Jordan, it might be a home-cooked meal prepared just the way he likes. A morning spent fishing, where patience replaces hurry. A moment with longtime friends, laughing at the same jokes that made sense decades ago. These small practices, hidden from the public eye, are what keep him whole. Because without them, even the myth risks being lost. This is the real pattern interrupt in the narrative. After all the luxury and accomplishments, what surprises most isn't the millions, but the simplicity. What moves us isn't the roar of an engine, but the sound of laughter around a table. What truly sustains the legend isn't glass walls or collector's cars, but the affection that remains when the game is over. And here's the last loop before the conclusion. Greatness only lasts when there's a human being sustaining the myth. And that's exactly why, in the final act, we'll talk about the invisible principle that connects it all. Coherence. Now I want to ask you, what surprises you more? The luxury we've seen so far, or the simplicity of the man behind the legend? Leave your answer in the comments, because that contrast says a lot about how each of us sees success. From the roar of engines and the glow of mansions, we now dive into the silence that explains everything. Because there is an invisible principle, a line that connects every practice, every contract, every house, every gesture of humanity. And it's this principle that ensures Michael Jordan is more than a champion. It ensures he's eternal. After doors that open to mansions, engines that roar in collections, and contracts worth billions, one question remains: what holds it all together? The answer isn't in numbers, not even in trophies. It lies in something invisible, yet present in every detail of Michael Jordan's life: coherence. Coherence in training. Repeat until error becomes impossible. Coherence in business. Turn image into assets, not just checks. Coherence in personal life. Preserve old bonds. Cultivate simple rituals. Keep roots strong. This invisible thread connects every victory, every contract, every wall built. It's not just about talent. It's not just about luck. It's about repeating day after day what aligns with the values you claim to live by. Time has passed. The uniform rests in the closet. But coherence transformed Michael Jordan into something greater than an athlete, a symbol. A symbol that greatness isn't an event. It's a habit, multiplied over decades. A symbol that the myth survives only because the man, in silence, remains faithful to what he believes. And now I want to hear from you. What value do you need to turn into routine so that your life comes into coherence? Write it in the comments. One sentence can be the first step toward real change. If this deep dive into the lifestyle of a legend inspired you, hit the like button right now, subscribe to Legend's Lifestyle, turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story, and share this video with someone who needs to raise their standard of living. Because here on this channel, every week, we open a new door. And where there is discipline, there will always be legend.